Okay, so today is Chulin Yutes, but we are starting Yutes on the bottom of Amud Aleph. We'll say over the Mishnah again quickly. We said already a Geshmak Pshat and Rashi. We'll try to say it quickly and move on. But there's a very important a few important nekudas. Okay, so let's see the Mishnah. So the Mishnah So mitoich hatabas. So we showed off. Maybe we'll show soon again the pictures. But that's how the kana always works. The kana, which is the windpipe, right? Every living thing has the back is the spine, and the front is the windpipe, which is hard, and in between you have the veshet, is the food pipe, right? That's every single neck. Now, the windpipe is a long thing, right? Now it's and this is going to be negaya for the picture. So once this is negaya for the sugi. So let me just show one more knage. One more knage. Let me find the picture. We have two pictures. We have the bottom is a picture of a kana running all the way along, and we'll see what we see is like this. What we see is that the kana, all of it is very uniform all along, right? All right. The whole kana is all very uniform. And then on the top, we get to the Tabas HaGedola and the Koiva, right? Different. Here's the Tabas HaGedola, which is the big ring, and then on top of that is the Koiva, which looks like a hat. Yeah, it looks like a hat. On top, it's no. Yeah, if you turn it over, it looks like the hat. This is the. Here's the Koiva. This is the Koiva, and this is the Tabas HaGedola. Now, the Tabas HaGedola, or it's good, or in our mission is called Hatabas. What's unique about it is that it is the only tabas that's fully round, meaning that it surrounds, it's a full circle. It's a full circle. Mashiach, all the rest of the tabos, if you look carefully here, it's only the cartilage only goes like this. It's only a U, right? It's upside down really, but it's only like this. It doesn't. Um it's not a full circle. The only one that's a full circle is this one. So that's why that one's called a tabas. The other ones, it's really a borrowed term that they're called tabois because they're not really tabois. They're not really round. They're not rings. They're only a U, right? Right? And these are a tabas. This is the tabas hagedola, and then on top of that is the koiva. Okay, so the Gemara, the Mishnah, right? Hatabas, somebody shouts inside the tabas itself. Oh, so we're going to see it's mavur in our Mishnah that we're going to talk about what the share where you're allowed to shech, how far along the neck you're allowed to shech. So you're allowed to shech pretty low. The question is how high towards the neck, towards the head of the behema, you're still allowed to shech, then it's considered a kosher shechita. So mitoich hatabas, meaning that if it's within the ring, within the hatabas is the tabas hagdoila, that's the full ring. Now, it's going to be mavur in this gemara that the both Tanaim of our Mishnah both hold that the limit of shchita is up to the tabas hagdoila. Anything past the tabas hagdoila is already not a kosher. So, right, you could check from here all the way here, right? Kiyodua, the famous thing people say that we don't eat giraffe because we don't know where to shecht. It's not true. You can shecht anywhere. You can shecht along the whole neck. It's no problem, right? Yeah. The reason why we don't eat giraffe meat is not because we don't know how to shecht. It's because the same reason why goyim don't eat giraffe meat, right? Yeah, no one eats giraffe meat. But anyway, it's the whole tabas, right? The Chacham of this Mishnah hold that the limit of shchita is up till the tabas hagdola. We're going to see in our Gemara that we're going to see in our Gemara. Khulin ben Atignas is going to say that it's going to be in middle of the kaiva. We'll see that soon. Okay, that's going to be later. But anyway, Zok the Gemara. Zok the Gemara. So, if somebody shechs within the tabas, and he left at least a mashu in the tabas, because the tabas is the limit, so he didn't go out of the tabas. That's what Tanakama says. We don't need kula. Ruba is okay. Yeah, that is so far. Sakti Gemara, Ravish Shmuel Dami Tavai, and we're gonna go like Rashi. Rav Shmuel, the Amri Tarvayu, Halacha, Rav Yossi, Rav Yehuda. That first of all, the halacha is like Yehuda. No problem. So you could, if as long as you did Roiv in the right place, even if you veered off at one point and you went out, right? You only did Meloichot Apnei Ruba, and then after that you went out. No problem. He was only being matir inside the tabasa gdoila. Hoyelu makefes is kol hakona. Avol b'shar tabois, Rav and Shmuel hold if you can shech within any other ring, loy. Meaning that it's so Rashi holds a muchadish digab that Rav and Shmuel hold that if anybody shechs within any ring of the neck, it's 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 treif. It's possible. It's not good. You have to either get the tabas agdoila or between the tabas. You have to somehow figure out exactly where the tabas is and go between the tabas. Yeah, that's the murdi because the Rishonim want to know how exactly did people shecht in Rav and Shmuel's days. How are they able to find the tabas and know exactly where it is and to shecht in between and not to get any tabas? But that's the shit. Right. And what's the word? Right. Since it surrounds the whole kana, avo b'shar tabois loy. But in the rest of the tabois, you can't shecht at all. Yeah, you can't shecht at all. Fact the Gemara.
What does this have with the issue of you?
Oh, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. It's mamash.
I mean, I only check which out the boys.
Oh. You'll see. You'll see. Because the way Rashi's learning, the whole reason why anybody holds you could check the whole. I mean, the sugi is mashman. The way Rashi's learning that the whole reason why you could check in any other ring is also outright.
Also,
And right, and the Gemara is going to ask that kasha. Fact the Gemara, v'hatanya Rabbi Yosef Yehuda Omer hashoichet b'shar tabois afal pisha ei makifus es kol akono hoyel umakifus es roiv akono shechitas ekshera. That mefurish Rabbi Yosef Yehuda applies roiv b'nagea to the heta to be able to shecht in those tabois itself, just that there should be a proper mokum shchita. Yeah, that's the Sheira. We're going to see in a second. The Gemara is going to get back to that, but before that, let's take right. That's so. In other words, Rabbi Shmuel said that Rabbi Yosef Yehuda is only Rabbi Yosef Yehuda is only saying Roiv b'negeya if you chef in your shchita. In other words, you got the right place. The question is in the shchita if you did a proper shchita or not. But not if, to make a place a makom shchita. And the Gemara seems to bring a brisa that the Rabbi Yosef Yehuda holds that the Rav been making a Makam Shchita as well. That's going to be the Gemara's kasha. But before that, we have to just finish off the end of this brisa. The end of the brisa goes off on a tangent, and this is for a very, very important 2 lines because this is going to be we're going to be keep on coming back to this to the next part. Umu gremes psula. Meaning that if you go out of the lines, it's psula. This is already not Rabbi Yosef Yehuda. This is just the halacha of the Tanakama that megremes is psula. And this is going to be the shita that we're going to go from. That Reb Chanina ben Antigna says mugrama sheikshera, meaning that it's even better, even if you shechted above the tabas hagdola. We'll see. The Gemara is going to develop this that this is Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina. But lemaisa, but getting back to our problem that Rav and Shmuel say that Rabbi Yosef Reb Yehuda was only talking about Rabbi Yosef Yehuda was only talking about if I got the right spot, but I veered out, and we have him first a brisa that Rabbi Yosef Yehuda says hashoiche b'kar tabois afal b'she'ei makifas as kol hakana hoyel makifas as roiv hakana shchitas iksheh first a brisa. I'm first a brisa. Amar Rabbi Yosef, remember this name. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda Tarti Kama. Rabbi Yosef Yehuda said both. He said both things. He said, first of all, that the Shar Tabois become a Makam Shchita because they have a right. And they also said, if I start in the right place and I went out of the right place, it's fine, I'll thrive. And right? Fact the Gemara Akasha, but what do you mean? But Rav Shmuel said not like that. Right? They said right? The Maversh, they said that he does loy Amar. So tomorrow Hachi Kama. Halacha Kamoisa b'Tabas Agdol and Halacha Kamoisa b'Shar Tabas. And Rashi lakes to us tomorrow to explain the news. When he says loy Omar, he means that dos heishish gizar. That v'ha loy Omar loy Omar v'loy klom. That's what he means to say. Loy Omar v'loy klom. Not that the pshat is loy Omar, but loy Omar v'loy klom. V'afra b'yisud loy Omar v'loy klom. It's not. It's not counted. It's very interesting that Rabbi Shmuel would say such a language about Rabbi Yehuda. If the pshat is I don't hold like that, fine. But loy Omar, meaning it's Rabbi Yehuda loy Omar v'loy klom is a chiddush. Yeah. Anyway, the kids and Nimrods. That's so far the Gemara. Now Rashi holds. Rashi holds, yeah, that so the way we're talking about shechting in the Shar Tabois, and the plea is it's a plea. How could it be that there's a psul? How could it be? Yeah, all the Rishonim say, how could it be that in the times of Rav Shmuel and the towns of Rav Shmuel, and we will see, we'll have a pasuk like Rav Shmuel, they didn't shecht in the Tabois. They had to find the right spot. It's a plea, right? Okay, but what's the lumdus? Zok Rashi that what's the lumdis? The lumdis is that that Zok Rashi in Amud Aleph. Rashi says on the bottom of Rashi says it's loy ikri kana. B'tkamash e makifin es kol hakana. Shma min krum shebesecha taboy. The bottom line. Shma min shmu krum shebesecha taboy samchas oisam b'fnei ikri kana. Which means like this. Rashi's medayik that it's that the taboys are surrounding the kana. What do you mean they're surrounding the kana? The taboys are the kana. What do you mean they're surrounding the kana? What does it mean that taboys are makifos es kol hakana? What does it mean makifos es kol hakana? Zok Rashi. From there we see, and that the Gemara used the lashon of makifos as kol hakana, right? That means that the cartridge, right, that they put in white, the harder substance, that's not called a kana. What's called a kana? The inner membrane is called a kana. And this is Makifos is Akana. So the Tabas Hagdoila, the one that circles the whole thing, that's Makifos is Akana. That's fine. That's called the Kana. Mashenke, this one that's not Makifos is Akana, so it's not called the Kana. So what is the Kana? The inner membrane. Yeah, that's the Kana. Now the problem is, and this is the problem that the Pshatavadik problem that everybody has is that's as much as everybody much as is. Okay, so Rashi established Makifos is called Akana that that this is not the Kana, the inner side is the Kana. So good. Let the inner part be the Kana. Excuse me. Let me shecht b'seichat habas b'seich shar tabois. It's true. I won't be Makai my shchita when I'm cutting through the cartilage. But when I get to the inner membrane, when I cut there, I'm cutting that. That is kind of like Rashi. So that's kind of, if that's kind of, that should be okay. That's the problem. Why is this not a problem?
Yeah. Why should I passively do the outside?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we go in?
Yeah. That's the pashta eitz. So the Shivnik Gletzer says like this. He says that the inner part is bottled to the outer part. So then the Quran is shver. So if it's bottled to the outside, so then now the outside becomes the kana. Somehow it's kareach mikan, the kareach mikan. It's not called kana because makivit is a kana. But the kana itself is bottled to it. So I don't get either one. So I don't get the kana. So there's no kana. Yeah, that's the Shiv Gletz's pshat. There are other achronim that want to say teretz that it lies chaloda. That the pshat is that when I'm cutting here, it's like I'm going under, and so and the halacha is that I can't cut something that's covered. and this is going to apply to something covered because it's covered by the by the by the by the cottage. I understand that shot either because typically, why is it worse than skin and bone? I mean, the skin, yeah, the skin and the bone. So I want to say I want to say a chiddush like this. I want to say a shot. I think it's really meduik in Rashi. Whenever Rashi talks about this part, Rashi calls it a rituas basar. This he calls a rituas basar. He calls this a rituas basar. Here they say rituas basar ra mechaberes Rashi atabois leirchakon. Rashi saying that it's true. That it's true. Of course, this is all a kana. This is a kana, but this part is not kana. This is a rituas basar that's just connecting the two sides. So the shaila is this thing called this area, is this called a kana, or it's not called? Why is it not called a kana? Because it doesn't, it's not a complete round circle. I don't why this? Rituas basa, that's why it's not negaya. Rashi says it a few places. That's the rituas basa. And you'll see it if you understand. See over here in the picture, they put it round, right? It's not really round, it goes down. It goes down and has a spot. It's like the area where the veshet sits. It's really a whole different thing. This is where the veshet sits, this area. So it's a slama, a rituas basa that's holding these two sides together. So Mamela, so Rashi, that's a divorce. The problem is that I don't have a tuch there, B'chal. I have kana here around, but I don't have kana over here. So Mamela, this is not going to be called, the whole thing is not going to be called a kana. Yeah? Yeah, let me show you two things. First of all, I'll show you a picture on this. That part over there, it's just holding it together. I have the cartridge, and this part is holding it together. It's a rituas basa.
That takes away the Shemkona.
Yeah, that's not. It was never a kana. Yeah, that was never a kana. Yeah, it's a rituas basa. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Here, I'll show you the lashon of Rashi. Show you the lashon of Rashi, but because its function is to hold the two sides together. It's a different thing. Yeah, I'll show you the lashon of Rashi. The lashon of Rashi is um. Basa mechabrasan, right? She was basa mechabrasan. Lav konen. Yeah, mamish mashma.
This was right to make a walk of shiki. You don't say
Right, that's the lumbus. Yeah, yeah, Rashi is the lumbus. What's Oh, I meant to say it on a base. I said it quickly in the lumbus of why Rav and Shmuel passed one. Why right. Well, we do say Rav there, not there. Yeah. What's it? Yeah, right. What's it? And there's another place where Rashi says it. Um, Rashi, the end of the fourth wide line, Rashi says, "The aim b'chol akona tabas gemura elihi only the tabas gemura she'enon shleimos ela ritzuas basar ma'aleches la'orka shel kana umechabrim roshei hatabois." There's a ritzuas basar that comes and it's machaber roshei hatabois. It's a different function. It's there to hold them together, but that's not part of the kana itself. It's not the word is that the kana is surrounded 3/4 of the way. The word is that there's a rituas person that's here that's holding the two sides together, but it's not part of the cut.
And you don't say cool like the Shalom.
Yeah. Yeah, very yeah. Okay, that was that word. What? Yeah. Okay, okay. There's a picture. Okay, good. That's this word. Okay, now I want to read us one more knage that there is another tzad that Rashi brings up twice. He brings up Sai in the Mishnah, and then later on in the Gemara Rashi's Mayach for two other Malachim in the Sugya. But one of them is a very Yisoid a very Yisoidis the Geshaila. That Rashi brings down the tzad that not the vort that about Hagrama and the whole Mishnah, that we're not dafka talking about Hagrama we're not dafka talking about the place of the Mokum Shchita, meaning, and we're only talking about the Tabas HaGedolah. We're talking about in every Tabas. That Rashi brings down the Shitas HaRishonim, that when you shecht, you can either shecht in a Tabas, or you could shecht out of a Tabas, but you can't shecht in one and go out. Right? That's the lashon of the Mishnah. Like this, these Rishonim. Hashoichet mitoich hatabas v'shia bak mleachut. If you're inside the tabas, you got to stick in the tabas. If you're out of the tabas, you can be out of the tabas, but you can't be in the tabas. So what's the svara for this? So I heard I heard Rabbi Breslau from Forsberg, he tells us what's this din chalal, what's this din, that what would be the din, what would be the hezber to such a thing. So just a svara, a svara to say what would be the problem in such a thing.
When in the Tabas, maybe you have.
So what's the if you have a svara, I'm just saying about Shazach. The lashon of Hagrama, Rashi says means to slant, to be matted, to to slant. Yeah. So the word is fakert that like these rishonim, you the pshat the pshat in Hagrama is b'chla. It's a little geschmacka. It's not the word is that we're going to see Batsam. We're going to have to see this shiloh in the sorry the rishonim really say it later on in Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda. Is Hagrama a question of, in other words, out of the Mokum Shchita, whatever's out of the Mokum Shchita that we call Hagrama, is the word that it's not a Shchita, or is it a Shchita Psula? Yeah, that's going to be that's the law of the Sheshayla. In other words, is the word this is B'chalal not a Shchita, or the word is it's a Shchita, but the Torah said, that you got to be within certain lines. Yeah, very Gishmak Shayla. Pashtis, right? Pashtis, the mokum shchita is what's a shchita. Whatever out of the shchita is not a mokum shchita. So what's the word in Hagrama? So Hagrama, right? Hagrama is not telling you. It's not telling you how to do shchita. It's telling you what shchita is, right? But that these Rishonim are learning that Hagrama means that you got to cut straight. Now, what does straight mean? It doesn't have to be 100% straight. It's got to be that either stay within these lines or within those lines, either within between the rings or in the cartridge itself. But you can't go from one to the next. Those are the lines that decide what's straight and what's not straight. And that would be the pshat in. And that would be a mahalach for what those Rishonim or what those Rishonim say. Okay, weiter. Sogt the Gemara weiter. Okay. Yeah, and we don't have to read eyes. Obviously, the other Rishonim learn that the whole sugi of Rav and Shmuel has nothing to do with where you shecht. It has to do with if you get a roiv in the tabas. Not a question. In other words, they learn that the Mishnah has open that the other Rishonim learned that the Machlekes Rav and Shmuel is not about where to do it. Machlekes Rav and Shmuel is we have a roiv where Rabbi Yosef Yehuda says that you say roiv by the tabas agdoila. What'll be by the shar tabois where it's not a full circle? Do you say roiv there as well? That's how the other Rishonim learn, and in that itself there's a machlekes how to learn it. But the bottom line is it the word our suffix is if you have a roiv, or is it because the bottom is wider than the top? But it's a shaila in roiv. Okay. So the Gemara weiter. So now the Gemara is going to go off on a tangent. The Gemara is going to talk about the shilas of another massive sugya about chumrei makom shehalach misham chumrei makom shebolasham, right? The sugya in Psachim, and this Gemara is really a big makar for that sugya. So the Gemara weiter kisalik Reb Zera, where Reb Zera was Salik when he went up to Eretz Yisrael. Achel mugremes the Rav Shmuel. So he ate mugremes the Rav Shmuel, whatever that is. What's mugremes the Rav Shmuel? So Rashi's bothered by the lashon of mugremes of Rav Shmuel. Like Tosis is very geschmack that it's called mugremes because it's Rav and Shmuel are talking about a roiv, or meaning that I veered off. So it makes sense that I was mugremes. Mugremes is lashon of hatia. It's a lashon of veering, right? So it's very geschmack the lashon of mugremes. But over here in Rav and Shmuel, like Rashi, that the question is b'chalal if you're allowed to cut in such a tabas. and the Shar Tabois. So Lashon of Mugremes, the Rav Shmuel is a somewhat muksha. Rashi's bothered by it, and Rashi says that Mugremes became a borrowed term. Now, from now on, we call since the halach Mugremes means veering off. So now, anytime you shecht in the wrong place, that's called Mugremes. Yeah, Kisol Grozer Ochel Mugremes Rav Shmuel Amri Le Lavne Asrei the Rav Shmuelat. Are you not from the town of Rav Shmuel, and therefore you have to paskin like him? Amalahu. Manamra. Who said? Who said that Rav and Shmuel said? Yeah. So they said Yosef Achia, which is the Rabbi Yosef of yeah. So he said Yosef Achia Mikuli Alma Gomer. Yosef Achia, he hears Torah from everybody, and therefore what? Yeah. And Mamela, who says it's not necessarily from Rav and Shmuel. And Lamaisa Shomer Rabbi Yosef Ikbid. Rabbi Yosef heard that that's what Rabbi Zera said, and he was offended. He says, "Oma ano mikuli alma gamirna." I hear from everybody. I know Rabbi Yehuda gamirna. I heard I learned from Rabbi Yehuda. Dafilu sveki di gavre gari. Stam Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba. Stam Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba. Sofik mishmei de Rav. Sofik mishmei de Shmuel. Shloisha matirim es habachar b'mokim sheim mumcha. This is a memra that Rabbi Yosef learned from Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda was medayik. That means that if he heard a memra from somebody and that person was not sure who that person got it from, he didn't just go Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yirmiyah Bab and leave it at that. He put that into his memra. Safek Mishmei Rav, Safek Mishmei Shmuel. What's this halacha? The Shloshim Atim V'Samcha B'Makom Sheim Mumcha, which means like this. By Bechor, it's not enough that there's a mum to be matter to shecht. It has to be that the mum was there before you had to get a psak that it's mutter to shecht before you shecht. If you shecht it and then checked afterwards, if it's a mum, it's not good. You got to get the psak beforehand. So normally you'll ask her, but if there's no Rav there, and it's an obvious mum, so it's not something that you need his expertise. You just need the psak, so you can get from Shloisha Hadyotis. That's this halacha. Now, so two things about this Shakavitaya over here with Reb Zera. So first of all, the L'chura, you could just say that Reb Zera didn't mean to offend Rabbi Yosef. Okay? He didn't mean to say something offensive about Rabbi Yosef. He meant to say pungfaker. He meant to say that the pshat is that the Rabbi Yosef is as our grace going. He didn't just hear from one place. He heard from a lot of people. But it'll such a thing that it's possible that it didn't come from Rav Shmuel. But not the pshat is that he meant to say it as a disparaging thing. He meant to say that 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 yeah that Fakir Rabbi Yosef was Rabbi Yosef was the Sinai. He's the one that knows from everybody. He nashes from everybody, and therefore, but Lemaisa Benegeh that I should be kafuf to Rav Shmuel. It could be that this is not from Rav Shmuel. Anyway, that's that. Zok the Gemara, reflect the Gemara kasha, and here we'll have to read the Gemara's kasha for Reb Zera. Leslie Noisle Chumri Hamakim Shiatzu Misham Chumri Hamakim Shalach Lisha. So Tosfos explains like this: a very, very big yisoid. There's a halacha of minig hamokim, right? Zok Tosfos minig hamokim. Minig hamokim is kaveh two things, and they're both important. One of them is that you asrei the Rav Shmuel at, that you came from Rav Shmuel, and therefore you have to paskin like them la halacha. That's one halacha. And then there's another din that has nothing to do with that, which is that when the makim took a chumrah, when they were makabel on themselves a chumrah, takonas hamakim, then I am kafuf to the place chumrei hamakim and chumrei. So in other words, it's two things. First, you are mechuyev to the minig hamakim first of all for the minig, for the chumris, and also for the halacha. The halacha is right. So the marshal, as Rav and Shmuel Rav and Shmuel, since he came from the place of Rav and Shmuel, and he's Chumrei Hamakom Shiyatzu Misham, so he's mechuyev to pass like Rav and Shmuel. Then, even if you'll say that it wasn't Rav and Shmuel, right? I'm saying this. I'm saying this Gishmak. This is with the Ritva's husband. Reb Zera held. Reb Zera knew what the Minig HaMokim was. This is how the Ritva tells it Avek. Reb Zera knew what the Minig HaMokim was, right? He knew what the Minig HaMokim in Bavel was. He was there. Of course, he knew what the Minig HaMokim was. He's the Talmud Chacham. He was the right. He knew what the halach is, right? None of us. He held it wasn't Rav and Shmuel. So why were they doing it? The Teretz says he held that it was a local chumrah. The local chumrah. For acting Gemara, good. But chumrah makom sheyatzu misham is mechayiv you not only to go bust the psak of the rav of the old place. It's also mechayiv you to go bust the chumras that they were mekabel on them. Yeah. Very geschmack. So Memela, so the Gemara's kasha is with das or bzeira. What were you thinking? Still, you can't eat it because still you have to be machmer as we know that they were going out to Rav and Shmuel. Yeah, this is the kasha. The problem is because well, if they were going out to Rav and Shmuel, he knows it's not Rav and Shmuel. So if they were going out to Rav and Shmuel, the Mokim that he left, and he knows it's not Rav and Shmuel, right? Then so he doesn't have to be machmer. Why should he have to be machmer? The teretz is that he thought that it was a chumrei hamakom. It was tam a chumrei hamakom. It was not Rav and Shmuel, and now they're telling him it was Rav and Shmuel. Good, but like his cheshbon that he thinks that it was a chumrah, he should be mechuyev to do it after the chumrah. That's the pshat in the Gemara. Okay, these two sides. Okay, the Gemara vayta. The Gemara two turts. Yeah, what happened with the Chumrei Mokim Shalach Misham? That Shiatza Misham. What happened? The Chumrei Reb Zera left Bavel. He should be mechuyev. So the Gemara says two terutzim, and the Gemara Psachim really has the same two terutzim. And the problem is, we'll see in a second. Amar Bayem Hani mi Bavel leBavel. Umei Eretz Yisrael. That's within Bavel. Meaning, if you left one state and another state in Bavel, or me Eretz Yisrael from Bnei Brak to Yerushalayim, so then you mechuyev in Chumei Hamakom Sheyatzu Misham, Chumei Hamakom Shalach Misham. Inami mi Eretz Yisrael leBavel. Or if you went from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, you still mechuyev to keep up the thing, the chumris in the chumris of Eretz Yisrael. Avom Bavel Eretz Yisrael. But if you're going from Bavel, like Reb Zera left Bavel and he went to Eretz Yisrael, Kivan Da'anan Kaifina Lehu. Since us in Bavel, are kaifi to those in Eretz Yisrael, so therefore Avdina Kavasayu, he does like in Eretz Yisrael. He doesn't have to. He's not mechuyev to in the Chumrei Hamakom Shiyatzu Misham. So two things. Some in the pshatov over here. What does it mean? What does it mean? Kivan Da'anan Kaifina Lu, right? And really, we're gonna have to really understand what the svaris b'chlala. What's this svara that you're mechuyev in the chumrei hamakom sheyatzu misham? What should be the what are the svaris? What are the reasons that somebody should be mechuyev? So Rashi says, and nobody goes like this. The Ran always says that there's going to be that the people that chumrei hamakom shahalach l'sham, the place that you came to, there's going to be an issue based on Tosfos' kasha, but I'm going to try not to be married, but that avada you belong to the people sheyatzu misham. The Ran holds. Narvas, the place that you came to, you have to make sure not to offend them. Yeah, that's normal, right? But Rashi says over here that the reason why you're mechuyev for the chumrei hamakom sheyatzu misham zak Rashi. The reason is zak Rashi because the people that you left from are going to be offended, right? How are they going to know about it? Rashi says, but Mashenkin, when it comes to Eretz Yisrael, from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, yeah, we don't have to give covered, right? We don't have to give covered to our place. So Rashi is mashma that there's a concept of giving covered to the place that you left. Some sort of an interesting halacha that there's a svara that I should have to give cover to the place I left. Yeah, but there's a you say it's the gemachloikis Rashi and Tosfos and what the taich of kaifina luhu is. Tosfos seems to learn that kaifina luhu is a shmuz legabe who is greater in Torah, and the mela based on who is greater in Torah, that's who you have to go by, right? That's how Tosfos goes. And the mela Tosfos asks a kasha. There's places that we gemaras that we find in the Bible. There were bigger tamid chachamim. There are those that are rishonim that want to be mechalik mechalik in being mechalik legabi dine mamanis and dine isurim, that only legabi dine mamanis that only legabi isurim do we go baseretz Yisrael, but legabi dine mamanis involved they were bigger. These kind of svaras. But Rashi is mashma that it's a whole different svara. It's a svara of that. First of all, Rashi does say talks about dine mamanis as well, and Rashi is mashma that it's more kaifin aluhu. The question is who has authority. And since there's an authority that Eretz Yisrael had over Bavel, nothing to do with who is greater in Torah. Soif kol soif Ibra Hashana is a Rashi, and Ibra Hashana and Ibra Kodesh and Knasa. These are all authorities that came from Eretz Yisrael, and therefore Eretz Yisrael has a more of a covered thing. So in Rashi and about covered it's mitztabadik Rashi svara, but Tosfos seems to be learning it's more a svara of who is greater, and therefore authority is not clear. So Ravashi afilu tema mi bavel Eretz Yisrael hani mili heicha de daite latza. Hani mili yena Mishnah that says that what mi bavel that chumei amakom shiatzu misham chumei amakom shalach lisham is hani mili heicha de daite latza. That's if his plan is to go back. Zera daite latza haver. Zera he made aliyah and he wasn't coming back. He wasn't looking back. He burnt his bridges. He was not showing back up, and since he ain't Daitalaxa, so therefore he doesn't have the Kumri Hamakim Sheyatza Bisham. Now, very, very quickly, just to read ois, what the shmuz in the sugya is, that there's another Gemara, which is the reverse, right? Our Gemara, we had somebody went from Reb Zera, went from Eretz Yisrael from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, and he did the kula of Eretz Yisrael, right? Yeah, he did the kula of Eretz Yisrael, and the question is, Tepeklei, Chumrei Amakim Shiyatzu Misham, Sakti Gemara, two terutzim. One teretz is that Teretz Yisrael is no such a problem, right? And the other teretz is that he was not Daitei Lasa. There's another Gemara. There's a Gemara in Psachim, which is mamish the reverse story. We have a Rabba Babachana that Rabba Babachana that came to Bavel, and he was Achal Yacha, right? Right, he was Achal Yacha. In other words, that he was Mako like the place he came from. So what happened to the Umrei Hamakim Sheyatzu Shalach L'Sham? That's the Gemara's kasha. And the same two Manda Amrim say the same two Terutzim. Right, the same two by Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi says his teretz of Bavel to Eretz Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, which means that you only have the chumras of Makom Shalach L'Sham, Chumrei Makom Sheyatzu Misham from other lands, but not mi Bavel Eretz Yisrael Bavel, right? And therefore he's not since he was in Eretz Yisrael again, he went to Bavel, so therefore he can stick with his Eretz Yisrael Kula. Right, and Reb Zera says the teretz that he was a daitei laksa, right? Yeah, that's the. So now come to Ois. So comes out very close. So kipshutoy. These two gemaras are not a machlokes. The Rambam holds it's a machlokes, and we don't go but and we don't and we don't pass like both sugyas, right? But kipshutoy. Tosfos learns that it comes out like this: that Rav Ashi holds right? Rav Ashi holds that you always go basa Eretz Yisrael when it's Eretz Yisrael or Bavel, right? And but I'm sorry, not Rav Ashi. Abaya, right? And Rav Ashi comes out like this. Like Rav Ashi, you always go basa the place you're planning on being by. Right? You go, right? You always go. So if you are Daitay Laxar, you go Basar, the place that you're gonna planning on returning. So the Marshal, the Gemara Psachim, where he's planning on you Daitay Laxar, so he goes Basar Eretz Yisrael. Mashenkin over here Abzera that he's Daitay Laxar, so he goes Basar Eretz Yisrael. So everybody goes Basar the Makim that he's planning on settling, right? So what's rare? So what's in which case is our Mishnah talking about? The Mishnah, I'm not our Mishnah, the Mishnah in Psachim that says, which place? Which person has both chumras? The chumra amakim shiyatza misham. Again, who are we talking about? Are we talking about somebody that left for good, or somebody, or he's planning on daitei lachsa? If he's daitei lachsa, he only gets chomei hamakom sheyatza misham. And if he's ain't daitei lachsa, he only gets chomei hamakom shalach misham. That's the kash, right? That's the problem with this. That's the problem based on these two gemaras, these two ravashis. That's the problem, right? So you could say that the pshat is that it's machlokes sugi said the Rashi seems very similar, and maybe Taka was a mistake. Yeah, so there are those that learn like that in the Rambam. Tosis learns, and we'll leave it at here. I don't want to be married, but Tosis learns that in a chanami, it's let's start them kami. That means chumrei hamakim shiyata misham is for one person. Who's the chumrei hamakim shiyata misham? Is the person that is daiter lachsa, and the chumrei hamakim shiyata is the person that's ain't daiter lachsa. And it's not going to start katani. There's no such a person that's nice and all chumrei hamakim shiyata misham, chumrei hamakim shiyata. That's how Tosis learns. Yeah, that's one mahal. Yeah, and Tosis has another cheshbon, but that's the basically that's how Tosis learns in this machlokes in these two gemaras. One more thing, I just want to read ois. What are the svaris? What are the svaris of why I should have to do it different places? The Rosh has mechadish a new thing that the word is that again we discussed that there's two nukudas. There's two nukudas why you should have to have one place and not the other place, right? Well, so there's why you have to go Minagamokim. First of all, you have Psak. This became your Rav, this became your Dayan. And second of all, there's the Takana Seir. But again, the Takana Seir for sure. I don't know if he says Lagabi Dayanis, but for sure, but again, the Takana Seir, the Gemara clearly holds that 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 the Rosh says a svara that the word is it's a word in Bal Yachel. It has to do with if you're part of a community and they took on themselves a chumrah. So the question is, am I part of that community? And that's the shaila here. And the shaila is how if you become part of it, if you were part of it, if the acceptance was even when you're not there. These are the svaras of what was dreitzach over here the shaila and what Bal Yachel. Yeah, yeah. Just one last thing, and this is the last knage. Tzorachin im yesh letaritz, This sugya and yenis sugya very simply. The Gemara is mavur that first there was a question of it's Rav Shmuel, and Reb Zeir said no, it's not Rav Shmuel. And then we discussed about Minagamokim, right? And Tosa says two dinim, right? This first of all the halacha. If I went from Rav Shmuel's place, I have to pass like Rav Shmuel. And then second of all, there's another shmuz of what of the Chumash Hamokim, right? And the terutzes that we said the Gabi Chumash Hamokim don't work for passing like Rav Shmuel. Right? That doesn't work, right? So right? Masha and Cain, right? That's possible. So could be. I'm just want to say the our sugya, the rules of this Ravashi and this Abaya is all benegeya churmas hamakim. When it's talking about churmas hamakim, over there we say that ain't daitelachzam. That when it's ain't daitelachzam, I'm not mechuyev to keep up with them. But when Negeya halacha, there's no such halacha. There's no such thing, and that's why in Yena Gemara, where we were talking about Iatro, which is a halacha de geshaila. Over there, you don't have that eitzah. Now that Gemara is talking about halacha de geshaila. When it comes to halacha, over there you'll have to be mechalik in a different way. In other words, it's two different shilas. There are two dinim. We aren't in our Gemara's mavura that there's two shilas, and the two sukkahs are talking about what you do when you dait lachsa ain't dait lachsa is a shmuz. One is benegeh halacha, and one is benegeh chumas hamokim. It's not mikadin. It's they're right. Chumras, right. So once we establish, if it was Rav and Shmuel, it's we're now sugya that even though Reb Zera was not Taitei Lachsa, but he's still tough to Rav and Shmuel when it comes to halacha. When it comes to halacha, he still has to go with Basar Epsak. But Benegea, or Chumas Hamarkim, should not go by Misa. I'm not mechuyev anymore. That I'm not mechuyev anymore. Right? That's this sugya. Yena Gemara is a different Gemara. Yena Gemara is saying when it comes to halacha that normally I have to go bust the psak of the new rabbi in the new shul also, and over there, but again, forget I can go bust the daita lachsa if daita lachsa it works, and that would be an eitzah for these two sugis. Okay, talk to you more about it. Yeah. Okay, talk to you more about it. Talk to you more about it. So now this is how Rashi learns that the pshat is we had the shmuz, we started off the sugya with Rav and Shmuel. We asked the kasha that Rav and Shmuel said that Rabbi Yosef didn't say it. We have Bryce that they do say so. Rabbi Yosef came in and said a teretz. Then we took a break, a whole shmuz with Rabbi Zera. If Rabbi Yosef was right, Rabbi Yosef wasn't right, the whole thing. Now we're going back to where Rabbi Yosef said his teretz. Amri Amr Abzera Mishmei Rav Nachman Magremes Kshera. So how could you say in Rav and Shmuel that Rav and Shmuel hold Magremes is psula? Reb Zera said in Mishmei Rav Nachman Magremes Kshera. Naru Pashte. I mean, there's different places in Babel. Some places went with Rav and Shmuel. Some places went with Rav Nachman. So the Gemara Vayta. Shem ben Lakish Achsha Bechuda the Kleva. Chuda de Kleva. What's the Chuda de Kleva? So we're going to see. So now let's go quickly back to the picture. Real quickly over here. This is the Shipur Kleva, right? This is the Tabasa Gdoila. This is the regular the Tabois. This is the Tabasa Gdoila. Here's the Shipur Kleva. This is the Kleva, right? This is called the Kleva, right? Why this looks like a head on top of it. Now the Shipur Kleva we're going to see three different parts. There's over here, then it starts going sloping, and then there's the tip, right? So what we're going to say is, so Rish Lakish was machshir all the way up till the tip. That's the chuda de kaiva. It's over here, chuda de kaiva they call it, right? This is where at its smallest point. That's chuda de kaiva. The Gemara is going to say that no, it's only kasha from over here, which is the beginning of the shipui kaiva. Okay. Now, before I just want to show one thing over here that this is the outside, but it's going to be the gear to see in a second. Going to be the This is This is the outside. Yeah. You see, this is the outside of this thing. Now, the inside of the same piece. Look at this. The inside of the same piece is here. And this is important. This is the inside of the same piece. We'll see. This is the vocal cords. You see, here's the shipur keva. This is the inside. This is somebody cut it in half, and you see the inside. See, these are the rings, and this is the inside. This is the tabasa kedola, and here's the shipur keva from the inside. It's important to see that. This is what we call the chiti, or we'll see in a second this picture. But this is important to see soon. Okay, so the Gemara. Sagt die Gemara, Rav Shimon Lakish Achsha b'chudu de Kleiva. He was maksha at the tip of the Kleiva. Mamish its furthest point. Very later. V'yechel and Gisa. That's way too much. I'm Rav Papi Mishvei Rav. So what's the halacha? So the oibezoi that what? So if not the chuda de Kleiva. So what's the halacha? Only the shipui Kleiva, meaning that only from the widest point. Now what's the svara? What's the svara that the shipui Kleiva is fine? I want to say this. I want to say a svara that what's the var? What's the word over here in this thing that you can go only from the shipui kaiva and up till the shipui kaiva? What's the word over here? So I want to say that the pshat is that the Rabbi Yochanan is finding the reason why I could do in the kaiva is not the word because the whole head is considered part of the kana. What we the rest this part still looks like an extension of the kana, so therefore it's called the kana. That's why it's called the kana. Halacha Mishra said the kana, and therefore this looks like it's still an extension. Once it takes that turn, then already it looks like it's a whole different thing, and that already is not part of the kana. That's the reason why the shipa kana is a problem. And that's why, in other words, that's the svar of what's niklal in the corner that once it takes that turn. Yes, yes, yeah. Oh, I want to say that svar later by the chiti also. We'll see in a second. So the Gemara vayta. If somebody, if he touched the chiti, treifa. So what's the chiti? So the chiti is the vocal cord, the vocal cords. So that is picture of the chiti. Here's a picture of the chiti. This is if you're looking from the back, from let's say the animal's stomach, and you're looking. That's the mouth is over there, right? We're looking here, and you see over here. There's two things coming down, covering over the corner. That and this looks like a chiti. Now, what's interesting is the Rishonim learned that it's called chiti because it looks like a kernel. Why does it look like a kernel? Because a kernel always has that crack in the middle. That looks like a kernel of wheat. But Rashi, I think Rashi's not meduik like that. Rashi's shtickle meduik that it looks somehow I don't know how, but it looks like two chitim because Rashi doesn't say one chita achas. So that doesn't look like one chita. Rashi says it looks like you have two chitim here. I don't know. I guess the lashon of chiti is mashma plural, so Rashi says it's two chitim. But yeah, and the Rishonim say it means because it looks like one chita. I don't know why. In what way, like Rashi doesn't look like a chita. But anyway, that's the Nukuda one. And the Nukuda two is like this. If we just got finished saying the Shipur Kaifa, it's the Shipur Kaifa, right? So what's going on here with the Kiti? The teretz is the Kiti is the inside and the Shipur Kaifa is the outside. So why is it negay? What's a negay? We already know the share. The share is over here. What's the teretz? So I want to say it like this as far, and I think it's Mashma and Rashi. That the word is these chiti are inside that covers the Rashi, they're covering the kana. So since they're covering the kana, the svara is that this is the end of the kana. So Mamela, we already established that outside up till here it looks like an extension of the kana, it's part of the kana. However, but the chiti inside is a cover. So the question is, how much of this cover is still part of the kana or not? And the nafkamina is, if I started off in a good place outside and I got to the inside, in the inside already it looks like a cover, it looks like an end. Yeah, that's this one. Okay, right. So right. Okay, let's move quickly. He said, Republic of the Rava says, Paga Hiti Trefa. If you touch the Hiti, it's Trefa. Now, there is Christians has a whole different mahalach. In the Sugi, we're going to go with Rashi. Paga Hiti Trefa. That if I touch the Hiti, it's a Trefa. Iboyalu Paga V'Noga Behem. Paga, meaning that the knife touched it and he got into the chiti, or in other words, because since it's like the cover, so the question is which part is the cover part of, right? That's the lotion of touching. Or is the word is that even directly under it is already a problem. It my Amra Papa Shade Rava, Sheer Bechiti Kshera. Sheer Bechiti Kshera means as long as you left some, you split it in half, you left some on the bottom, some on top, that's kosher. So that would be a riot at what? That Paga Vinoga Itmar. Yeah? Amra Vamema Barmar Yunuk. Becoming a Rav Kibre Rav Vivir. Vamila Sheer Bechiti Kshera. Meaning that if you left some, it's good. Amalei Ravina Ravashi, Amalei Rav Shama Misuvra, Ikla Mazotul Asin, Vidara Shir, Bechitik Shera. That if you cut through the chiti, it's still good. Rashi Amapoga Bechiti Shera. Shir Bechiti Treifa. So Rabbi Ravashi is clearly paskening not like that. He's paskening that Paga, he's teaching Paga. This is how Rashi learns Paga means touched it, or only touched it without a pug of a naga. Shia bechiti, but if you cut them in half, it's straight for the outside the sheep is okay. Behind with the shia bechiti. And if you and you have to leave some of the chiti and let Rashi, it's like a paga the naga. Yeah, the maskon. Yeah, so to my right. Nachman achshav mishipikoy v'lamata. Or Nachman was like a machshav mishipikoy v'lamata. Amal Rav Chanan bar Rav Kitina. The Rav Nachman command like Rabbanon like Rabbi Yossi Rav Yehuda. It's not like the Rabbanon Rabbi Yossi Yehuda now Mishnah because they say clearly it has to be from the Tabas Agdala. Amalu another chilik yadana v'loy bilik yadana. I don't know chilik, I don't know bilik, I know shmaitzi yadana. So Rashi has two pshatim more chilik and bilik. Chilik would be like the Tanakama that says you have to cut through the whole tabasak dirlu. So that's chilik. You cut it in half. And like bilik means to destroy because like the Rabbi Yehuda, you don't have to cut it, you don't have to slice it in half. A rive is also good. So that's the lashon of bilik, right? I'm not sure if this is a like is in lumdis and what shchita is chilik or a bilik. But anyway, that's the thing. So Rashi says that's the first shot in chilik and bilik. But then Rashi says that Lamaisa is a Gemara somewhere else. The chilik and bilik is just a lashon of Joe Schmo. That the Gemara says. The Gemara says about the Gemara says where is the Gemara? Atu chiliku bilik achlilei. It's like a lot of yeah, it's right. So and so Rashi says lefi advarim lishna ba'almu. So I once wanted to say I don't know that maybe they're both emes. They're both emes. Avad. Yeah, and in other words, it'll be a pshat for the kach shamaiti. The kach shamaiti that says over here a hezber that it's chilikubilik is going on our sugya. So what's the pshat in the Gemara Sanhedrin that uses the lashon of chilikubilik as a lashon of stam joshmo? The teretz is after it was used in this Gemara, it became a lashon of chilikubilik, but it came from this Gemara, and this Gemara really has a pshat. Okay, so Gemara vaytem. Oh. I know like chilik yadan of like bilik yadan. I know shmaitzi yadan. Adam Rav Chia Bar Abba Rav Yechon Vami Lo Rav Abba Bazav Dom Rav Chia Vami Lo Rav Yaakov Idi Rav Yitu B'Shur Levi Miship Bekevel Lamatuk Sheira Rav B'Shur Levi. Next Gemara. Yeah, from Miship Bekevel Lamatus Ksheira. Rav B'Shur Levi Mugrames Rabbanon. Right? Then it goes by Draga. The Rabbanon, what the Rabbanon hold is not good, meaning that it was he cut through the Tabasak Dela, but then he moved out of the Tabasak Dela at the last point is Ksheir Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, but Rabbi Yehuda's case of Mugramis, which is that I did more than Roiv out of the Tabasak Dela, Ksheir Rabbi Chanina Ben Atignis, because Rabbi Chanina Ben Atignis holds that you go Mishipakaiva Ulamata. Pshit, Frektimar Pshita, so tomorrow no. The tamer of Chanina ben Antignis Adarbonankoi. In the brisa before that, we brought down Gramis Treifa. Hey, Chanina ben Antignis Al Gramis Shuk maybe Reb Chanina Antigonus is not arguing on the Rabbanon. He's not arguing on Rabbi Yosef Yehuda. He's arguing on the Rabbanon. Hey, Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, that he holds like Rabbi Yosef Yehuda. There's only two shitas. Yeah, Mao the time Rabbi Chanina Antigonus Rabbanon Koi Kamash Malon that he's arguing even on Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, and he's being matter up to the Shipa Kaiba. Maybe Taka Rabbi Chanina Antigonus is only being matter like Rabbi Yosef Yehuda. So tomorrow in Ken Hayed Alei. Like, why did he say over the word mugremes? The Tanakhama said mugremes, treifa, and then hey, alei, Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, hey, alei, Rabbi Tignis. Sheik Shera. Why did he say hey alei al hamugremes? He's talking about a mugremes of another man as well. Yeah, so tomorrow the hilchzik of Hulin ben Tignis, the koy Reb Nachman Kavasi, and that's the halacha that Mishipa Kavil Lamat is okay. Amar Avuna, Amar Avasi. Another 3 minutes? Another 3 minutes? We'll go another 3 minutes, yeah? Yeah? Okay. So tomorrow right there. Yeah. The truth is that this is a sugya that's going to be we're going to coming on to a big sugya that's really kosher to a big Rashi later on in Daf Lamed, which is which is going to be mechadish a whole new understanding where you could have hagrama b'seif shchita. That's going to be a whole sugya. But we're going to start it now. Sakti more weiter. Amravuna, Amravasi, machloikis b'sheshachat shnei shlish v'hegrim shlish. Where's the machloikis of Rav? We're going back to the machloikis between the Tanakama and Ruei Yehuda. Machloikis b'sheshachat shnei shlish v'hegrim shlish. The machloikis in between the Tanakama and Ruei Yehuda is where he started off okay, and then he veered out. B'sheshachat shnei shlish, okay. V'hegrim shlish, and then afterwards he veered off and he went up. The abundance have kula shchita being on. The abundant hold that I need the whole shchita to be okay. B'tabas right? The kula shchita being on b'tabas gedola or that. Rabbi Yisrael you just have a ruba kula. Avol hingrim shlish v'tachat shnei shlish. But if let's say he started off bad and then he went into a good, he started off in a bad place and then he veered into a good place. Hingrim shlish v'shachat shnei shlish. Divrei hakol psula. That's for sure not good. Why? Nafka chiyusa, because lemaisa by the time he got to roiv of the kana, that's when the animal's life is gonna go out. Nafka chiyusa, ki nafka chiyusa being a ruba v'shchita. We need that it should be a kosher shchita, and at that point it's not a roiv ruba v'shchita because I started off my first shlish was without was hagrama. Yeah, cannot be in a ruba b'shchita. V'leka. Amalei Rav Chizda Adarabba le'mamar ipcha. Why don't you say faker? Loikis k'shegim shlish v'shachashlish. The machlekes in our mishlis dafka. If I started off in a bad place, higrim shlish v'shachash neishlish. So Rabbi Yosef this havami the havi akatzi kana pogum that it's kosher. Why is it kosher? Because there's a halacha of katzi kana pogum, which means like this. We're going to see later on that that's a small hole in the veshet is a treifa. Mashenkin in the kana, in the windpipe, it only becomes a treifa if there's roiv, roiv open, right? So if let's say somebody walks into, if you have an animal that has in its neck halfway. Just halfway, perfectly halfway, even though it's not part of the shechita, all you have to do is shecht a little bit more, right? So all you have to do is shecht a mashu, get past the roif, and you have a kosher shechita, right? That's katzi kanapok. So I don't need the nafki chiyusa to be coming out from the shechita. Because Chatzi Program shows that all I need is a little mashu from it, right? So over here, it's not exactly the same case as Chatzi Program, because, and that's going to be the lum. This is we're going to be mamshik soon. But Chatzi Program tomorrow. Chatzi Program is in the makam shchita. The begima is in the makam shchita, and over here we're talking about where he obviously started off out of the makam shchita. But anyway, but me to have a Chatzi Program, Rabbanan, or some makam shchita, I'll have makam shchita. Yeah, let's say that that's the machlokes. So avol shachat shnei shlish the hegem shlish the ragol ksheda. Yeah, this is what Rav Chizda wants to say, that if you started off two shlish and then you are magram out the ragol ksheda. Why not? Nan ruba shalachim kamayu because Rav ruba kikule. Amalei Rav Yosef man leimalon da hu ruba the hasam la Rav Yosef biyuda katanila. Maybe that is the time of that mission is Rav Yosef biyuda. And the time of our mission doesn't hold of Rav. Every time it says Rav, we're going to say it's Rav Yosef. Every time in Shas we have a Rav, we're going to say it's Rabbi Yehuda, Amalei, and no Ruba the Shchita Kamida. No. When it comes to Shchita, Roiv, when it says Roiv, Lagabe Shchita, that makes sense that it should be Rabbi Yehuda, because we see that there's a machlokes in our mission, Lagabe Roiv, Lagabe Shchita. Let's finish the same Gemara. There's a lot of lumdus over here. Why you should not say Roiv, why you should say Roiv. A lot of Torah, we don't have time. Lishnachrin Amili, Amravuna, Amravasi, Machlekes Kishehegrim Shlish, Vichachat Shlish, Vichachat Shlish, Kung Fakert. Then the Machlekes is that Ravuna Taka said the Machlekes is by Hegrim Shlish, Vichachat Shlish. The Machlekes is Dafka Taka like Rav Chizda was tiny. Rabbi Yeshua Sava Midav Yachatzi Kanapagam. Rabbanan Sava or Rabbanan Hasam Makom Shchita Hachalav Makom Shchita. Shnei Shlish, Vehegam Shlish, the Vehakal Ksheira, Dotnan. In this version, it went fakir. Rav Chisda asked, "Master Rav Chisda, man leimlon da hu ruba da'asam lav Rav Yeshu Yehuda K'tanilo, Luma Rav Yeshu Yehuda K'tanilo, Amal Rav Yeshu Kol Rubi da Rav Yeshu Yehuda K'tanilo, Amal Ana Rubi da Shchita Kamina to Shamana Luda Pligi." We'll leave it here, and Bez Hashem tomorrow we'll pick it up at this thing, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up, and we'll be able to do. Yeah. Okay, gewaldig.